Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and just wait another minute or two for everyone to dial in and get started. So you'll hear a bit of silence.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, we can go ahead and get started. Just a reminder, this session is being recorded and will be available a little later on our website. Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Digging for Data Diamonds Got Talent. I'm Brian Pettiville, Chairman of the IIAB-CAL Emerging Leaders Committee. With me today is Cheryl Koch, President and CEO of Agency Management Resource Group. Cheryl has served in nearly every capacity in an independent agency, having been an account manager, producer, and an agency owner. She now devotes her time to agency management consulting, training, and speaking at industry functions throughout the country. Cheryl currently consults on marketing and sales, sales management, agency operations, automation, and strategic planning through her Roseville, California company. For today's webinar, we have muted all your phones to eliminate background noise. However, you can ask questions throughout the webinar in writing through the right-hand navigation area of the GoToMeetings. All your questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. So sit back and relax. Cheryl, take it away.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Yes, as Brian said, what we're going to do is start digging for some data diamonds in the IIABA Best Practices study. And what this seminar is going to involve, the webinar today, is the first of a three-part series on some of the current challenges that are facing independent insurance agencies as outlined in that study. Today our topic is going to be Got Talent, which obviously is going to deal with the issue of talent management for our agencies and the critical issues of finding, recruiting, training, and retaining the talent that's going to be necessary for all of us to propel our independent agencies into the future. We're going to use as a frame of reference the IIABA Best Practices study, and I will tell you how you can obtain a copy of the study at the end of the webinar if you wish to do so. Obviously, we can't cover a topic as important as this in just 30 minutes. However, what we're going to do is initiate a discussion that's going to continue at InsureFest in October and beyond in a program that we're going to be launching at InsureFest to talk about these challenges and try to find some solutions to them in the coming years. And as I said, we're going to dig through the best practices study and look for those little nuggets that are out there that are valuable to every agency and things that every agency can implement no matter where your agency is or how big or small it happens to be. Let me give you just a very brief background about the Best Practices study in case you're not as familiar with it. The Best Practices study was started in 1993, so believe it or not, it's been around for 20 years now. It is a 3-year cycle, so the agencies that go in to the Best Practices study are in the program for a 3-year period of time, and that's to allow them to actually be able to measure what their results have been of their best practices. So this 3-year cycle began in 2010. This is the last year of this particular group of agencies. There are 224 agencies currently in, and the Big I is taking nominations for the next 3-year cycle of agencies. So if that's something that you're interested in, you might want to get in touch with them. But one of the challenges that was addressed with the Best Practices study, the big question that was asked in 2010, is what are the biggest challenges that are facing you as an independent agent? And in 5 of the 6 revenue categories, finding and retaining talent was the #1 challenge that was cited by these best practices agencies. And in the 6th category, it was cited as #2. Growth happened to be their #1 issue. But virtually across the board, everybody is saying that it is a problem in identifying the people who are going to take us to that proverbial next level, getting them on board, and then figuring out how we are going to reward them and retain them as the leaders of the future. So our topic today again is definitely got talent. A recent industry panel in Philadelphia cited some statistics, and you can accept them as true or not, but I think you'll find them interesting, if not alarming, that in the next 5 to 7 years, the insurance industry is going to need to replace approximately 400,000 positions as people retire from our industry. And frankly, that process has already begun. About the only thing that has kept it from being more of an issue is that people are pushing out their retirements a little bit later based on the economy. And the 400,000 positions obviously are across the board. That's going to impact agencies and companies and every other facet of the insurance industry. But that's going to create an incredible brain drain in our business. And we have not been very successful in the past getting new folks on board, up, running, and productive in a short period of time. And this is a short period of time. If this is going to occur in 5 to 7 years, and obviously we have to have that talent on board right now today. The percentage of employees in our industry who are age 55 and over is 30% higher than it is in other industries, and that's including both financial services industries and others. So what has happened is we have an age issue in our business. Most of our positions, if you look at account managers, producers, certainly agency owners and leaders, you're talking about a huge percentage of people who are 55 and older without that 40-year-old coming behind them to become the replacement. And we do believe this is actually a crisis, a talent crisis. It's going to affect us in sales, in service, in all of our support positions, accounting, IT. Virtually every agency and company is facing the exact same issue. Warren Bennis, the professor from USC and a great author of many books regarding leadership, said, "Too many companies believe people are interchangeable. Truly gifted people never are. They have unique talents. Such people cannot be forced into roles they are not suited for, nor should they be. Effective leaders allow great people to do the work they were born to do." So like so many things in agency management, this all becomes a leadership issue as well. You actually can teach a chicken to climb a tree, but it's probably a better idea if you just use a squirrel. And what that involves is finding the right people, and we've heard this kind of ad nauseum lately, of getting the right people on the bus and then getting them into the right seats. And while it might sound kind of cliche, nothing could be truer than that issue facing us right now. Great leaders are also great developers of talent. And that starts with being able to identify where is the next generation of insurance professional going to come from. And with all due respect to everybody's family out there, you may not find that talent at your next family reunion. DNA alone isn't going to be sufficient to carry us into the next generation. And this, I know, is sad on some levels for some of you who do run family businesses, the fact that your kids may not wish to be that next generation. Some of that is because they have watched their parents work very, very hard and make a lot of sacrifice, and they're just unwilling to do that. Some of it's just as simple as they're not interested in insurance. And again, sad as that may be, it may not be a 4th or 5th generation family business any longer. We're going to have to find the talent outside. It's also possible that you're not going to find the talent you need in an agency across town. That's how it's been done in the past. But people have been running lean for a lot of years, and I think it's very, very likely that they're not going to let their best people go across town and work for a competitor. They're going to hang on to those people. So even if you are able to recruit from another agency, it could be likely you're not going to get the best of their talent. So where do we find the people? Well, I believe they're all around us. I think we just have to be specially tuned in to the fact that anywhere you are where you find committed, passionate, intelligent people, those are the people we need to be recruiting into the industry. That could be in a hotel, that could be at a restaurant, on the golf course. It really doesn't matter. What's important is that we're all wearing our recruiting hats and we're actively and aggressively pursuing the talent that we need. All of us learned insurance at some point in our career, and I believe that if we find the people who have the right skills and the right attitude, learning insurance will be the least of their problems. One of the things we're going to have to do as well is to start when they're young. And when I say young, I mean, yes, high school. One of the places that we're going to have to find talent and begin to recruit is going to be at the high school level. And you may not think that high school kids are interested in insurance, but I can tell you that from my experience, about the time they turn 16 and get a driver's license, they do appreciate that possibly the only thing standing between themselves and the car is us. And the parents begin to talk about insurance. Now, they may or may not do that in a very positive manner, but at least a discussion begins about high school and cars and auto insurance. So one of the best things I think you can do to start the discussion is to get out in a high school and volunteer to make a presentation on auto insurance in one of the classes, maybe a business class or something like that. Just start the discussion. You're not necessarily recruiting them at that point, but I think what we need to do is improve our public image starting when they are 16 years old, where they might view us as a negative. Start that conversation and try to convert that into a positive. And one of the things I hope that many of you are aware of, but in the event you're not, there is a high school program called INVEST. And that program is run by Big I National. It was started in 1970 in Los Angeles by an independent agent by the name of Steve Dock. And at that time, Steve was finding it difficult to recruit talent into his own agency. So he created a program that at the time was called Insurance Model Office, and he took it to the Los Angeles Unified School District, who agreed with him that there needed to be some school-to-career training in the public schools. And so that program started at Hollywood High School in 1970. So obviously that is a program that has been around for a very long time. It was one of the original school-to-career programs, and it boasts an incredible success rate. Sometimes the figures have been as high as 75% of INVEST graduates do actually pursue a career in insurance. So one of the things I think you can do to find the talent and start early would be to get involved with an INVEST program. And you can find more information. I've given you the website there at the Big I website. INVEST has its own sub-website. Get some information there about the program. And on this slide, I've given you a list of the classrooms that are available in California where INVEST is already running. If there is one near you, reach out to the teacher of that program and volunteer again to maybe make a presentation to that class. They love to have insurance professionals come in and share their real-life experiences. One of the things I think you'll notice if you just glance at this list is that although INVEST is really a high school program, in California it's actually running in more community colleges than it is in high schools. And that's because we have a lot of people who are turning to community colleges to retrain them and obtain new skills to pursue careers in different industries. For example, obviously a lot of people were displaced out of the banking and mortgage industry. They're seeking new careers within financial services, and insurance, in fact, is somewhat attractive to them. So the community colleges in California have been very, very helpful and instrumental in keeping INVEST going. There are programs all across the nation, and so I would encourage you either get involved as a volunteer, even if you're not using it as a mechanism to try to identify some talent. You would never regret being involved with the INVEST program. And I hate to be Debbie Downer here, but get ready for some disappointing news. 40% of high school students say they are not interested in a career in the insurance industry. That probably doesn't surprise us, but it saddens us a little bit. there's another reality that we deal with, and that is that in California, a huge percentage of high school graduates do not plan to go to college. So they need jobs. They're coming into the workforce at an earlier age, and they need to pursue careers that are going to be potentially rewarding to them, and that's what we have to offer them. So I think we have something to sell to them, but it is going to have to be sold, because we are going to have to overcome the negativity that's associated with our industry, and the only way we can do that is each one of us get out there and tell these kids the story of what a career in insurance has meant for all of us. I think it's a very positive story. I think we have great stories to tell in our agencies, and we need to get out there and do that. And it may be the toughest sell you ever have, but unless we can get them in the door, unless we can attract them in the first place, they're going to miss out on what could be a great career, and they're going to go off and get some kind of dead-end job that's going to get them nowhere. Yes, we're also going to have to do some college career recruiting. More disappointment, however. We seem like such fun people, don't we, in our business, and yet not everybody agrees. So our business doesn't have that kind of sizzle that attracts people to it. So when you go to a career day, it's likely that you're not going to have a huge line of people in front of you. You're going to have to do something to lure them to your booth, to incent them to come, something fun, something exciting, so that you can tell your story. They tend to be attracted to high-tech businesses, things that they think are more exciting than insurance. And I think the way to package that is to try to remember that at the end of the day, yes, we do sell insurance, but really what we do is help our clients manage risk. And if we can keep the emphasis on risk management, I think we will do a much better job selling our job proposal to them, and we can, in fact, recruit some of that college talent. The best practices study obviously is designed to take information from the best agencies in the country on a number of different issues and be able to provide it to other people. So when you ask how do the best agencies recruit this talent and how do they bring them into their agency, one of the programs that's been most successful has been an internship program. And it's a great idea to try before you buy. Before you hire somebody, you can kind of try each other on for size and figure out whether or not you've got a good fit. Fit is so important. Yes, we need the skills. Yes, we need the aptitude and all the other things that go along with it. But making sure that you've got somebody who fits within your agency culture is also critically important. One of the most successful programs we've seen, they recruit from college campuses in the sophomore year, and between sophomore and junior year in those summer months, they bring those folks in. They give them very specific tasks to do, meaningful activities, and they provide them with a lot of general industry knowledge during that summer. At the end of the summer, they evaluate the people in the program. The people in the program also evaluate the business, and about 50% wash out in that first 3-month period of time. The 50% who are retained or agree to come back the next summer, so they're between their junior and senior year. They're back in the agency. They're doing more specific things. They have basically decided what they think their path will be, whether that's going to be sales or service or IT or whatever. And then they're assigned to somebody who works with them during those 3 months. At the end of that summer, another evaluation takes place and another 50% wash out. But what's left after they've gone through that process is a group of people who are going to be offered a job at graduation, and they're going to be placed in either a sales, a service, or a support position at their choosing. And that's how we are identifying these folks who are passionate about what they do, committed to a process, and committed to our industry before they ever get in the door. One of the next challenges for us, though, is once we've identified somebody, we've recruited the right person, we have to do something with them. And this is another of the Achilles heels of the independent agency system. We know that what's required is to train them, train them, train them. It's a lifelong learning process, and yet it's not something that smaller independent agencies have the time and the resources to do. So we're going to have to find some innovative ways to provide this training. I love this quote. If one of our department heads gets a call from either our CFO or president who says, "Can you tell me why you're over budget?" all they have to say is, "I did this many hours of staff training," and that's the end of the discussion. They recognize there's an ROI on training and education. I would love to tell you that that's a quote from somebody who's in the best practices program. It's not. It's actually a quote from an HR manager at the Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs. I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but it's a 5-star hotel, not because they have the most beautiful property or location, although it is, but really because they have the best people. The Broadmoor Hotel spends between 10 and 12% of its revenue annually training its people. The best practices study, sadly, asks for the budget item across all the 6 revenue categories. That's the number you see there, the amount of money spent on training and education in the typical independent agency. 2% on the low end for the agencies that are under 1.25 million revenue, to a high of 0.4% in the larger agencies. Regardless whether you're looking high end or low end, those numbers are too small. We're not investing in the people. And even if we broke that down and asked them what kind of training was provided, I think you're going to find out that it was CE type training, not necessarily to develop the talent that they have. So that's simply something we're going to have to get much better at. We're going to have to prepare professional development plans for every single employee in the agency, having them achieve educational milestones throughout their career. So for the first 6 months on the job, things that they're going to be involved in learning. From year 1 to year 3, different programs, year 3 to 5, additional training and education, pursuing professional designations, that kind of thing. And everybody's deserving of that professional development plan. For the kids that we recruit from high school who don't plan to go to college, I think one of the greatest gifts we can provide to them is making the pursuit of a college degree part of their professional development plan. And my experience with agency owners is they're incredibly generous and helpful to students in getting them that college degree. We have to be willing to invest in them, and that doesn't mean just paying for them to attend a CE class. Frankly, mandatory continuing education, I believe, has dumbed down the agent broker community across the country. We're attending classes we don't need to attend other than to obtain the CE credit, not necessarily something that's going to develop and increase anybody's skill level. We also have to be pretty relentless in measuring the ROI of the training and education we are spending money on, and there is an ROI. It's an investment, not just an expense. And when you view it as an expense, that says a lot about what you think about training and education. And we all need to be role models, because what you value as an agency owner or leader in the organization is going to be something that they're going to consider as valuable as well. If they see you kind of grudgingly completing your CE online for $19.95, they're going to believe that you don't attach much value to professional development. Next challenge for us then, if we've found them, if we have developed them, if we have trained them, if we have mentored them, which is all critically important to their success and to ours, then we have to find a way to keep them on board. One thing we know is what gets rewarded gets repeated. So if you want to instill in somebody the importance of continuing to get better and be successful, they have to see those little rewards along the way. And we do have to use a combination of both carrots and sticks. We have to be able to both reward people for the right performance, and we have to deal with the issue of the non-performer or the underperformer. We owe it to the people who are performing to do that. We have to create compensation programs that are very clearly tied to performance, and that applies to both the salespeople and the service people and the support people. They need to know that they can control their destiny, they can control their future in some way, and they need to know how they're going to be rewarded and compensated. And keep in mind that what's important to you may or may not be important to someone else. So yes, money's great. That's a wonderful form of compensation, and we all expect it and we all need it. But especially as we begin to bring the millennials into our agencies, you're going to find that there's a balance that has to be achieved. Yes, they want to get paid, but they also want some other things, such as free time and opportunity and growth and professional development. So like everything else in agency management, it really becomes a leadership type of issue. We have to recruit them, we have to retain them, we have to reward them, and if we do all of those things, each of us as agency leaders is going to reap the benefit of having that very, very talented person on board. So that's going to conclude the remarks here, and Brian, I think if you've got any questions there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, first of all, Cheryl, for this great peek into what we can expect at the upcoming webinars in October at InsureFest. And like Cheryl said, we have some time for some questions. We've got a few coming in now, but I'd like to remind everyone, if you haven't already done so, submit your questions in writing through the right-hand navigation area of our GoToMeetings. I actually have a personal question I would start off with, being as part of the agency I am, a principal here at my agency. And, this INVEST is something that I really would like to get some more information about, but more specifically, what are some opportunities we can expect if we go to an INVEST program and get involved? As agency principals, what can we expect to maybe offer? What are some ideas there?
Things that you can offer to the program?
Correct, yeah. What's an expectation that maybe they would expect to see from us?
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing I think is important, and again, this is not to be an ageist of any kind here, but I think it's important that we continue to put people in front of these, and just keep in mind these are folks who are ranging in age from probably around 17 to 22, if it's at one of those community college programs, is that we continue to put in front of them people who are closer to their age and are passionate and enthusiastic about what they do and their role in helping people, because that really does appeal to them. They want these challenging jobs. They want these rewarding jobs. They want to feel good about what it is they do. And I think for most of us, we do feel good about the job we do. So I think just being there, when I say be there, I don't mean just go give a presentation. That is a kind of a basic minimum. Those teachers love to have the insurance professional in their room. But get involved with those kids. Drop by from time to time. Really kind of attach yourself to that program and watch those kids as they develop over time. And some of the INVEST programs run just for a semester. Some of them run the whole school year. So you get an opportunity really to see the growth. And I think that's mutually rewarding.
Good, good. Well, thank you. And another question just came in. This was something that came to my mind, too. Oftentimes, once we've found the good talent, we bring them in. The question is, where are some good places to find training for these new employees? And specifically, their question is regarding training for producers.
Well, producer training is available pretty readily. There are a lot of programs out there. You could actually go and Google insurance sales or insurance producer development program, and you're going to pop up quite a few. We've done some programs here in California. My firm has done some new producer schools. There are some national organizations that do it. And frankly, there are a lot of insurance carriers that are back in that business again. That's how a lot of us got trained when we started out. Most of the company programs are pretty good. You just have to, again, don't just send somebody to the program and hope for the best. You really should be more involved with the program so you know exactly what the message was that they got. Make sure it's a program that includes some sales training that is taught by somebody who has sold insurance. Again, not just underwriting. They shouldn't just learn the technical aspects of the business. They have to take a more global view as well. But there's a lot of training for producers out there.
Great, great. We got to talk maybe one more question. Let me just look through a few here. This is a good question here. Regarding what is your opinion on organically, moving people up the ranks in the agency, say starting from bringing them in as maybe a receptionist or a clerk of some kind, and then promoting them through the ranks?
I'm a huge advocate of that because that was exactly how my career started. I started as a receptionist Having been a graduate of the INVEST program, my first job in this business was for Steve Dock, who founded the program back in 1970. So I started as his receptionist, and I was given an opportunity to work in personal lines and then commercial lines, then to become a producer, and I eventually did become an agency owner. So nobody is a bigger fan of that kind of internal organic growth than I. I believe that is absolutely a way to go. However, I would caution people that, if you found that person who really had the passion for personal lines, not to necessarily steer them as though commercial lines was a promotion of some kind, because a great personal lines person's worth every bit as much as somebody who does commercial lines. Salespeople, obviously a great path, but not for everybody. But grooming them into both the sales and service positions, I think that is a terrific way to go.
Well, great. Thank you very much. Well, like I said, I want to thank Cheryl for spending some time with us today, and we're coming up on the end of our webinar here. So just a few parting words. If you'd like to hear more from Cheryl, she will present 2 additional agency management webinars free to IIAB-CAL members. Those are July 25th and September 19th. And to register for those webinars or to download the recorded version of today's webinar, visit www.insurefest.org. That's www.insurefest.org, and click on the InsureFest Agency Management Track webinar series link. And in addition, Cheryl will be a presenter at this year's InsureFest, and that's going to be from October 24th through the 26th at the Los Palmas Resort and Spa in Rancho Mirage. And for more information on InsureFest, you can visit that same website, www.insurefest.org. And finally, a reminder for you to register for the 2 agency sales track webinars. Those are presented by Ira Kasdan, and those dates are May 20th and August 6th. And to register for those and to get more information, go ahead and visit www.insurefest.org and click on the sales track webinar series link. Once again, thank you to Cheryl and all those on the call. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. That concludes our webinar. Take care.